Every now and then, the NFL preseason delivers a story that feels bigger than football itself. A story that breaks free from the safe cliches of competition and drills and instead explodes into something raw, emotional, and unforgettable. Cleveland has been at the center of that kind of spectacle more than once. But this summer, what unfolded inside their locker room wasn't just about X's and O's. It was about respect, family, reputation, and the kind of drama that can tilt the balance of a quarterback battle before the games even start. At the heart of it all, a subtle jab, a leaked text message, and the always unshakable presence of Deion Coach Prime Sanders. It began quietly enough. Dillon Gabriel, the rookie quarterback who arrived in Cleveland determined to prove he belonged in the league, gave a sideline interview during a preseason matchup. It wasn't explosive. It wasn't scandalous. But tucked between his words was a line that turned into gasoline once it hit the ears of the wrong person. Gabriel, still frustrated after a shaky first half, decided to reference fellow rookie Shadore Sanders, suggesting that not everyone's hype was earned and that some guys benefited from noise around their name. It wasn't the most direct insult, but it didn't need to be. In today's NFL, words move fast, and those words reached Deion Sanders before the interview even wrapped. For those who know Deion, there are two things you never doubt: his loyalty to his family and his unwillingness to let disrespect slide. The Hall of Famer turned head coach has built his entire career on confidence, swagger, and an ability to command attention. He's lived through eras of skepticism, endured being doubted, and emerged as one of the most magnetic figures in all of sports. So when he heard a rookie quarterback in the NFL take a shot at his son, he wasn't about to let it float into the wind. He responded in the way only Deion Sanders could. The message wasn't long, but it was sharp, direct, and dripping with that primetime energy that made him legendary. According to reports from multiple insiders, Deion sent Dillon Gabriel a private text that instantly became the most talked about message of the preseason. It started with a warning: "Watch your mouth when you speak on my son." From there, he doubled down, reminding Gabriel that Shadore's rise wasn't hype, it was earned. That's when he delivered the line that turned the text from a father's defense into an unforgettable moment. Respect greatness, or get used to watching it from the sideline. It was the kind of line that could headline a rap verse, the kind of statement that sticks in your head long after you've read it. But this wasn't entertainment. This was a Hall of Famer sending a direct shot at a rookie trying to carve out his spot in one of the most scrutinized positions in football. Inside the Browns' locker room, the reaction was immediate. Phones buzzed, screens lit up. Teammates passed the leaked text around, laughing, shaking their heads, and realizing in real time that what had just happened wasn't going to stay quiet. Half the room reportedly sided with Deion, admitting that Gabriel crossed a line by dragging Shadore's name into a sideline interview instead of focusing on his own miscues. "Keep your head down, earn your stride," echoing what many felt. To those players, Deion had only said what needed to be said, what the outsider, no matter how famous, was inserting himself into the sacred walls of an NFL locker room. "This ain't Boulder anymore. This is the league," one anonymous player muttered, dismissing the entire situation as an overstep. To them, Gabriel might have made a rookie mistake, but it was his mistake to deal with, not one for Shadore's father to handle. The divide was real, and confidence. Kenny Pickett, fighting to prove his career wasn't unraveling, was desperate for reps. And then there were the rookies: Gabriel, fiery but unproven, and Shadore, the polished prospect who had Cleveland buzzing from the moment he stepped on the field. Before the text, the battle was messy but manageable. After the text, it became something else entirely. The narrative had shifted. What might have been brushed aside as competition and spectacle. The media caught wind almost instantly. Local Cleveland talk shows lit up their phone lines, with fans debating whether Deion Sanders had crossed a line or whether he had simply done what any father would. Headlines screamed across social media. "Coach Prime claps back," one read. The storm that began with a single sideline comment didn't fade away. If anything, it gathered force, spreading from the locker room to the media to the very heart of Cleveland's quarterback competition. By the time the Browns returned to practice, Dillon Gabriel was no longer just a rookie quarterback fighting for snaps. He was the rookie quarterback at the center of a national spectacle, the player who had dared to question Shadore Sanders and ended up on the receiving end of a Hall of Famer's wrath. And in the unforgiving world of the NFL, reputations stick fast. What happened next would determine whether Gabriel could claw his way back or whether this saga would define his career before it even began. Inside the Browns facility, tension was impossible to ignore. Coaches tried to downplay it, reminding the team that preseason was about learn. Gabriel jogged onto the practice field. Whispers followed. Teammates watched not just his throws, but his body language. Was he rattled? Was he pressing too hard? Did he look like a man weighed down by the narrative swirling around him? The uncomfortable truth was that the perception was impossible to shake. Instead of looking like a fiery competitor, Gabriel looked like a quarterback under siege. And the worst part? He had no way to change the storyline except by playing lights out. Anything short of that only made the narrative stronger. Meanwhile, Shadore Sanders was thriving in silence. His poise on the field stood out. His calm demeanor off of it amplified the contrast. While Gabriel's name trended online with jokes and criticism, Shadore's trended with praise and memes, framing him as the chosen one for Cleveland's future. It was the perfect storm for Shadore. He didn't need to talk, didn't need to clap back, didn't need to do anything except show up and execute. And the city was eating it up. Fans wore "Respect Greatness" on custom t-shirts. Local radio hosts debated how soon the Browns should give him the keys to the offense. Even some of the veterans, once skeptical of his hype, started warming to him simply because he kept his head down while Gabriel stumbled through the chaos. The divide inside the locker room was growing clearer by the day. Younger players admired Deion's fire and loved the idea that Shadore came from a family that wouldn't tolerate disrespect. They saw loyalty and strength. Veterans, however, still bristled at the notion that a father, no matter how legendary, could inject himself into NFL business. One even said privately, "If my dad ever texted somebody I was competing with, I'd be embarrassed." That tension hovered like a shadow over every meeting, every practice rep, every team activity. And the truth was simple. Quarterback competitions don't survive this kind of noise. They get consumed by it. The media, of course, poured gasoline on the fire. ESPN ran graphics comparing Shadore and Gabriel not just on stats, but on composure ratings. One analyst outright said, "Gabriel looks like he's spiraling, and Shadore looks like he's leading." FS1 turned the saga into a daily talking point, with pundits declaring that Cleveland had already made its decision, whether they admitted it or not. Even national podcasts outside of football weighed in, framing the drama as a father-son loyalty story in the modern NFL. Social media, meanwhile, was relentless. Clips of Gabriel's sideline comments resurfaced daily. Every misstep he made in practice, every incompletion, every interception was amplified online with captions mocking his earlier jab at Shadore. One viral post read, "Talked about Shadore, got benched by memes." Fans weren't just critiquing him, they were shaping his narrative in real time. And no rookie, no matter how talented, can outrun that kind of tidal wave. Gabriel's silence only made things worse. Some advised him to apologize publicly, to clarify his comments and move forward. But he stayed quiet, likely hoping the story would burn out. Instead, the silence left a vacuum. And in sports, a vacuum always gets filled with the worst interpretations. To fans, his quiet wasn't maturity, it was weakness. To the media, it wasn't composure, it was evidence he had no defense. And so the cycle fed itself. Gabriel's image shrank while Shadore's grew, and the quarterback competition tilted further and further out of balance. But here's the brutal truth. This wasn't just about perception anymore, it was about performance too. And when Gabriel hit the field for his next preseason outing, the pressure was suffocating. Every throw carried weight, every mistake echoed louder than it should have. And unfortunately for him, the performance didn't erase the doubts. A couple of missed reads, a red zone interception, a body language that looked more frustrated than focused. To fans already skeptical, it was confirmati.